can see this with religion, where different religions with different belief systems. I mean, look at the conflicts and the wars we've had between people of different belief systems, because they actually the same belief system in a different guise, because they believe that what they believe, everyone should believe. And what is that if not exactly what people like me have experienced, where we're abused and ridiculed for having a different view of reality to the mass of the population. Everywhere you look, you see this same recurring theme of perceptual infusion, not least through intimidation and repetition. You know, if you come out of the womb and your parents who've been through the same system you're about to go through start impacting upon your perception, and then you go to school, and now a teacher is first of all dictating your life, when you have to be there, when you can leave, when you can go to the toilet, when you can eat, when you can talk, but also impacting upon your perception of reality by what they're telling you reality is in all its different forms. And then you go on to university or college, and the same thing happens, but at a higher level. And you only pass your exams overwhelmingly if you tell the system what it's told you to believe. And then you go out into the world and you're meeting people who've been through the same system that you've just been through, but earlier. And everyone's supporting the belief of everyone else that this is how reality is. This is what the world is. This is how it works. They may differ in the detail, but the basic themes are the same. And you turn on the media, and the media is telling you the same stuff that the school told you and the university told you. And scientists are coming on the TV and telling you the same, and academics and doctors. Is it any wonder that people go through their entire lives believing something that is complete crap? Provably so. Of course, they'll believe it. What breaks that cycle, and here we come back to causes and removing the cause. What breaks that cycle is if you expand your sense of awareness out of this reality, this fake reality, what the Gnostics used to call the bad copy reality. And you expand it out beyond it, because then you're starting to tap into levels of information, awareness, insight that you won't get from the matrix, if you like, from the simulation. And that is what we truly call awakening. What are you awakening from? You're not awakening to something, because you're already that. You're awakening from the fake reality that's been instilled in you from cradle to grave. And suddenly the world looks a completely different place. You will have been through this process, as anyone who awakens from the coma goes through. And you you start to say things like, I've had this said to me so many times, why couldn't I see it before? It was so obvious. Because you were getting your information from the matrix before. Now you're getting it from beyond the matrix. Now the world looks very different. And so you see
David,
you see the reason why the effort is constant and incessant to hold us in a limited sense of perception, a limited sense of the possible, a limited sense of everything. because they have to keep us in that perceptual box. Because if they don't, it's over. Uh, we are able then to see what we couldn't see before.
In March of this year, I was invited to the Monroe Institute and got to know a little bit about the work of Robert Monroe and his experiences out of the body. And thankfully, we have people like you and like him and like many others that are pursuing those bigger questions. Robert's journey was interesting out of the body because he did encounter some things as he started expanding more that awareness that gave him a broader sense of this reality. And I know you've come to those conclusions as well. So it almost feels like there's layers to this as well. Like until we get into that complete pure consciousness state, there are some like elevators that we have to get to reach those levels. What are those floors, we could say, in that elevator that we need to pass through before we get into the greater awareness?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and a very important one. The way I see it, symbolically, quite probably literally, is that we are operating in like onion skins. These skins, obviously not an onion, they are levels of perception. They are energetic levels of perception. And the big thing I would suggest we need to remember is how little we know. Now, this is very, very important because what I've seen over the decades I've been doing this is how people have awoken from the norm to a point and then stopped. And because they think they got it. Well, they haven't got it. None of us have got it. We're getting it as best we can. And I've always gone along with the principle of whatever we know, there's always more to know. It's the principle that was articulated, it is said, by Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, who was a mentor of Plato, etc. And he basically said, to know is to know you know nothing. That's basically what true knowledge is. And this is vital for this reason. When you stay and keep to that reality, that sense of reality, there's no point where you say, I've got it, and you start to coagulate into like an eddy in the river. River's flowing past, but you're now a whirlpool going round and round and round because you got it now. Well, you ain't. You know, I watched the so-called alternative media that has come in and basically hijacked the central core of the alternative media. The algorithms love them. I wonder why. Their funding loves them. And what they've done is they've come in with the belief that politics is it. Politics, support Trump, he'll sort it. And, you know, Trump is not even a smear on the scale of the conspiracy, which is founded on our whole sense of reality being completely different to what we think it is and we experience it as. And they've fallen into the trap, actually at quite a low level. They've realized there's some kind of conspiracy going on and then stopped. It's the deep state. That's the conspiracy. No, that's an expression of it. It's not it. It's an expression of it. Because they've got this idea that they got it. And what I've done over the years and still do to this moment is whatever I know there's always more to know. The one thing we know for sure is there's always more to know. And so you might grasp levels of it, but there's always more to understand. So you don't drop into the eddy. You keep flowing with the river because you're looking for what you don't know. And that means that you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into what people call the rabbit hole, because you know that there's no point in this life where that's going to stop if you pursue it. And what tends to happen is, like in the early 1990s, I uncovered this global cult and how it works and how the manipulation of the material world happens. But I knew that that was only one level of it. So what don't I know? And then it takes you into levels where there's a non-human force, like an astral force, that's manipulating humanity via this global cult. And then you go into levels of the fact that this reality is a fake reality and it's actually a simulated reality, very much akin to the Matrix movies. And that happens because you know at any point there's always more to know. If you're not aware of that, or you don't live that, then you stop. So peeling off these perceptual levels of the onion skins can be broken by that awareness that there's always more to know, because you don't stop. You might grasp something and then you go, okay, so what else is there to know? And you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's the way that's true awakening, because these levels are coming off. For instance, if you look at the central core of what's called the alternative media, what I call the MAGA media, they have moved from the limited view of reality that most of the population have. But all they've done is widen the prison cell slightly to see, oh, there's a conspiracy going on. Oh, it's the deep state. But that's it. And what has to happen is all the bars have to go, and all the preconceived ideas have to go, all the preconceived perceptions, this is how it is, have to go. And then we free ourselves, we free our minds, we free our awareness to flow out beyond the simulation into knowledge and awareness that we never thought possible before. And the world starts to look a very, very different place. But when you do that and you talk about it publicly, you're dealing with a mass of the population. It is changing. People are starting to wake up. But you're still dealing with a mass of the population that will see you as crazy, that will see you as out of your head. What do you mean simulation? What are you talking about? And so you have to make a decision. Am I going to go with this? Am I going to speak out about this and take all that stuff? Or am I just going to keep my mouth shut and basically stay in the box? And what I would say is that when you truly start to awaken and delete these energetic skins, you reach a point of awareness where basically things start to meet, in the sense that you don't care anymore what people say about you, what people do about you, what people think about you, because you have reached a point of awareness where you realize it doesn't matter. You know, we are consciousness. We are a state of infinite awareness. What does it matter if people in a human body, disconnected from their true I, programmed by the system to believe nonsense? And I understand why. It's incessant, like I say. You are going to be affected by what those people say about you. Well, why? And you reach a point where you realize it just doesn't matter what people say about you. What matters, and the only thing that matters to me in terms of my work, is whether what I'm saying can be supported by the evidence. If I believe it can, then I'll say it. And how people receive it is completely up to them. But it's their right to receive it as they choose. It's my right to have my opinion based on what I've researched. And I can tell you from, these decades that I've been doing this and all this abuse and ridicule I've had, is that you can survive all that, because it doesn't matter unless you make it matter. People say, oh, I'm offended. Okay, well, you just described it perfectly. You're offended. You have chosen to be offended. It's your choice. That's your reality. You created it. You're offended. I choose not to be offended, because I understand why people say what they do, given the incessant programming that we're all subjected to. But so I don't get offended. And people all the time say that someone's affected them, but they've chosen to be affected. Someone says something about you that you don't like, well, you can say, well, thanks for sharing that with us. Or you can be offended and you can break down. It's a choice. And you can speak your truth. I mean, I've met so many people over the years, I'm sure you have too, who are in families, for instance, that not only don't have the same view of life, but actually are vehemently hostile to them for having the view they do. Like be in a religious household and not believe in religion, but see it see the reality in another way, see how that works out. And the pressure all the time is to conform. And the question is, are we going to fall for that and can literally conform to that? Or are we going to say, no, this is my truth and I'm going to speak it. And if you don't like it, well, do the other thing, because that's all right. Because you ain't going to affect me speaking my truth. And, I hope that I'm a example, given the scale of ridicule I've been through in the last 36 years, that you can speak your truth. You're not saying that everyone's got to believe it. That's up to them. But you're speaking it. And you can survive. so long as you realize it doesn't matter what people say about you. It doesn't matter what people do about you. What matters is if you can justify to yourself that what you're saying is true. And whatever you're saying is true, there'll always be more to know.
David, I feel like we're really getting into the core of your teachings, and I'm aware that we're just over the hour, but I really feel that a powerful way to end is to talk about why you believe that the heart, or you call it the heart vortex, is one of those keys, one of those major keys to human freedom, consciousness freedom, and to liberate ourselves from this third dimensional reality and see beyond what we really truly are.
Well, the Gnostics from hundreds of years ago in Egypt and elsewhere, they left writings that were found in a place called Nag Hammadi in Egypt in 1945, become known as the Nag Hammadi Library. And first of all, they talk about this reality being a bad copy, and the quote God that people worship is actually the tyrant that created the bad copy, the simulation, as I would call it. But also they talk about the fact that we have a divine spark within us. And that divine spark, well, I mean, in line with what I've been saying, it's a good analogy again, that divine spark is encircled by these onion skins of perceptual layers and levels. And the divine spark wants to express itself, but it can't be heard for most people, because it's the people's perceptions, incarnate perceptions, are overwhelmed by the programming. But for me, the heart is a connection to that divine spark. And once you open the heart, and you know, the heart is far more powerful than the brain. The brain is the village idiot compared with the heart. And if you move into this area, you start to connect with that divine spark. What is that divine spark? It's that part of us that is the vehicle to connect us with out there. And you know, people they talk about love in a way that love is always doing nice things, or what appear to be nice things. But it can be very naive things as well. Always think the best in people. Well, that's okay, but also be aware that that might not be the case. Because if you don't, you're going to get scammed. And so the true level of what I would call heart consciousness is extremely streetwise and extremely wise as wisdom compared with the brain, which is a processor of information. And that heart wisdom is what can override the programming which is going on here. And if you look at society, um, the heart is targeted all the time. You know, you look at what I call these dramas, these wars, this suffering, these horrors that go on. They're all about closing the heart, so that people just they cease to feel the emotional trauma they would otherwise feel, or think they would. But that's only one level of the heart. Again, when you start to move through that into the and move these these skins of perception away, there is another heart in there, and it's a heart that says, I'm going to do what I know to be right, no matter what, the consequences, because consequences are what, or perceived consequences, are what stop the vast majority of people doing what they know to be right. Because they go through a list of consequences, potential consequences. If I do this, what will happen? What will happen to me? What will authority do? What will my pastor say? But once you get into that deeper level of the heart, that pure wisdom, that is the observer, doesn't get caught in the drama. It's the observer, the wise observer. It will never say, what are the consequences of doing what I believe to be right? It will just do them. And that is the divine spark speaking, which knows that this nonsense that we call the world, this nonsense that makes us believe certain things and react certain ways, is all nonsense. It's all a manipulated game. It can see that. And so it starts to operate above it. From that level, it doesn't care what you say about it, because it knows it's all nonsense. And it certainly doesn't care about potential consequences for doing what it believes to be right, because it will just do it. It doesn't know any other way. To consider consequences is to consider not doing what you believe to be right. That level of the heart would never do that. And this for me, this is what takes us out there. What we call death. I mean, if you have a biological computer that's decoding this matrix into a sense of reality, then when it ceases to do that, like this computer ceases to do it, then the screen goes blank. It's not doing it anymore. And what do we say? Oh, my computer's died. Well, that's what happens. This is what death is. Death is the biological computer ceasing to function, ceasing to decode this reality. And suddenly you find yourself, as near-death experiencers have in endless numbers, in a completely different reality to the one you were experiencing a few seconds ago. And it's because this has stopped decoding the matrix. And the way out is through this. Because if you remain attached to this reality and all the thought and emotional connections to it, then you'll hit this, what Buddhists call the wheel of samsara. You'll be back in, reincarnated back in, because this overlay, this fake reality, can only survive with a throughput of consciousness, awareness. And if you became aware of the nonsense, when you leave this reality, you're out of here, because you know it's nonsense. You know that the true self is a state of infinite awareness. So you're out, and you're connecting with that state of infinite awareness, because that's what you believe yourself to be. That's what you are self-identifying with. That's what you connect with. Out. But if you still hold perceptual, emotional, mental connections to this reality, then you won't get out. You'll go into the wheel of samsara, because this force, this astral force, if it didn't have this trap to keep consciousness, souls, whatever you want to call them, it coming in and out of this reality, then it would run out of people or run out of souls very, very quickly, because you'd come out of the body and you say, well, so I'm not bloody going back there. I'm out of here. So they want to keep you in. And so this matrix, this overlay, has other levels too. And one of them is the astral level. And so it's like a fake heaven. And people or souls leave the body and they enter this fake heaven. They go to the light, the fake light, up the tunnel and all that stuff. It's all part of the whole manipulation to keep you in the matrix. And then you come back in another form with another experience. And the reason that they do this, and there has to be a reason, obviously, is that they are feeding off our mental and emotional energy. This force, this astral force that's created this whole fake reality and its astral levels, the fake heaven, it's feeding off our energy. Every time that we feel emotion, every time we feel or think, we're generating energy, which relates to the nature of the emotion and the nature of the thought. So like I said earlier, depression, fear, anxiety, resentment, hatred, regret, all these things are low vibrational energy. And it's the low vibrational energy that this force feeds off. It's what Robert Monroe, in his astral travels, he coined the word loosh. They're feeding off human loosh. In other words, the mental and emotional energy we're giving off. And so they have to try to keep us in this trap of reincarnation, so that we keep producing loosh. And so when we leave the body, the manipulation goes on, unless we are aware by that point what the game is, in which case we leave the matrix, the astral level, all of it. We leave it in totality. But that is what they're trying to stop. And so, for instance, you talk to near-death experiencers, and they, of course, don't go into the wheel of samsara and come back in another form. They come back in the same form when their body is revived. So they don't see what's on the other side of the veil. They only see this side of it, in the astrally, this side of it. But they say how they see Jesus, or they see the figure of the religion that they believed in. And of course, in the human world, we're told to connect the light to God and spirituality. I've seen the light. And so when you leave the body and a light comes, and some religious hero appears, who's not really, um, you you do what they say. You go up the tunnel, or you go towards the light. You cross the veil, which near-death experiences don't do, and you come back here. And I've written about this at great length in my recent books, having talked to and seen the experiences or experiences of people who, first of all, near-death experiences, yes, and the themes are very common. But also, I've talked to people and seen the recordings of people.
This religious political divide, like religions, political parties, they're the two most deadliest force on this earth right now, people. Because many of those people, they call out this, they point out this, they back against this, but why can't they see that their party that they support are also the same as the party they're eating against? Because these white right-wingers, for instance, they eat against everything the Democrat. Like, that's not what the Democrat do also. Then the Democrat is doing the same thing, but it's like they can't see or they refuse to see. It's so jarring, people. These people are just is either them refuse to do it, people, or them just dumb to a level. And I refuse to believe that they're just dumb to a level. I think they're refusing to see it and refusing to point their contradictory ways. And religions are the same. Religions, oh my days, people. Religions, oh my days, oh my days. Help us. Help us. Because can't help the religious people. Cannot. They're the craziest. They're the craziest, even more than the political divide, people. The religious divide is crazy. We have to continue to wake up, people, because these are the most urgent issues, urgent things that need changing. Believe in religions and following political parties. These are the most critical, people. They need to be abolished, extinguished, demolished immediately. Who
say they remember the pre-incarnation point where they incarnated or just before, and they tell a very common tale too, and it's very clear that the wheel of samsara is very technological in nature. You know, we think the astral must be, that's spirit, that's heaven. That's not like this. Won't have technology. Oh, it does. It's just in a different vibrational band than here. The technology that's coming in here to take over more and more, not least the fusion of humans with artificial intelligence, which is their big goal, is coming out of the astral. That's where it's coming from. It's coming out of the astral into the underground bases of the secret projects where they interact with these entities, and then it flows into the public arena. And you'll notice that as this technological explosion has gone on, it's seamless. There's not a situation where people are sitting around a table strumming their fingers waiting for the next level of technology to be invented or discovered. It just one thing follows the other, and it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. The advancement gets faster and faster and faster. Well, there's a reason for that. It already exists in the underground bases, the secret projects, and in the astral, and it's being played out in a particular sequence. It's like a carrot in front of a donkey. Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. You use a different analogy. Pulling you towards dystopia. On the basis of, the technology's advancing. Yeah, but why is it advancing in the way that it is? It's to control you. Because if you have a situation which the oligarchs of Silicon Valley and other parts of the world, China, want, they want to fuse humans with artificial intelligence. And that will mean that artificial intelligence will be doing human thinking and human emotional reaction. We won't even be controlling our own emotions anymore or our own thoughts. They'll be delivered to us. Now, what do you think those artificial intelligence thoughts will not ask? The big questions. Who am I? Where am I? What is this place? Won't ask them. And that's the idea. It's been the ultimate goal all along, to create a situation where the human mind, human consciousness, is deleted from the perceptual process. So they don't have to manipulate information anymore. They don't have to suppress information anymore. You'll just get your thoughts and emotional reactions direct through artificial intelligence. You'll become basically a computer on someone else's internet. And that's what I've been warning about for decades. And look around. Donald Trump's pushing this so-called big, beautiful bill. And one of its, one part of it is that the states of America will not be able to regulate artificial intelligence for 10 years. Well, in 10 years, artificial intelligence will be running the world and being fused with humans. 2 days into his presidency, 2 days in January, he wheeled out in the White House Larry Ellison and Sam Altman to announce up to $500 billion AI project called Stargate. This is where it's going, and it's being orchestrated from the astral. People like Trump and Ellison, Altman, they're only vehicles, they're only gophers. It's all being orchestrated from the astral, so we are in a period now where the expansion of our consciousness to beyond the limitations of this fake reality is absolutely vital, because that's where the answers lie. That's where the true self-identity lies, and that's where the insights lie. That's where the understanding lies. That's where our power to change things lies. Not in the matrix, beyond it. And the heart is a connection to get there. And but it's not. I'm going to be nicey because I want people to like me. Heart. And some people can misunderstand it, I would suggest, on that level. It's that deeper level of wisdom, of doing what you know to be right, irrespective of the consequences or what appear to be the consequences, potential consequences. You just do it. And that changes everything, changes your life, and collectively it can change this reality. But it's amazing to me. Well, maybe not when you see how it's done, but it's amazing to me how easy it is to control the perceptions of humans. And even now, the truly awakening are big time the exception, not the rule. And but what can you do? You do what you can. You do what you know to be right, and what happens happens. But you can see how the suppression of information on one side and the programming of perception on the other is a very, very powerful combination. But we're talking now. You can go on the internet if you're searching for the answers, and you can access this information. It's not going to be put before you by CNN or MSNBC or the BBC. It's not going to be put before you by the central core of the alternative media. But it's there. And when you ask the big questions, who am I? Where am I? What is this place? How can I make a difference? Then that interacts with the quantum level, and it will put before you answers to those questions. And you'll find yourself coming across information in a synchronistic way that you think is, oh, that's a coincidence. No, it's not. You've created it yourself. You've asked the question and you've meant it, not conceptually, you've meant it. And therefore, the answer's put before you. And it's before you because you've asked the question and meant it. If you don't ask the question, then you won't get the answer. And most people are not asking the question because they don't realize that it's a question that needs asking. And that's the power of program, power of suppression.
David, we end every episode with a segment called The Final Trio, really rapid fire questions to finish off, personalized to each guest. Before that, where would you send people to connect with you, with your work, everything that you're putting out there? I know you've been deplatformed. I know you've been going through all of these things, but there's still so many ways where people can connect with the vast field of information that you put out there.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If I'm so crazy, why all the efforts to stop people hearing what I'm saying? I'm currently banned from 30 European countries and Australia. The central core of the alternative media, putting out the political level and all that stuff, they're not banned from any of those places. But I'm putting out this deeper stuff, and suddenly I am. And it's an interesting question. You can get me at davidicke.com, but we also have a media platform called iconic.com, and there you can see news shows every day, but also full-length documentaries looking at these deeper things. I've made many of them now, looking at these deeper levels, looking at reality and how it works, and how we can redefine ourselves as consciousness rather than the myopia into identifying as a human personality. One's an experience, the other one's an I. So iconic.com it was created by my son Jamie, with big help from my other son Garrett. Both of them are on Iconic alongside myself and Christiana Icke and Richard Willett and many others. And I'm absolutely delighted with what's being produced.
Beautiful. We'll put all the links in the description where people can go directly to that. And for the final trio, all these questions are personalized to the guest. You can answer them in any way that you want. But the first one is, what does the word conspiracy mean to you?
Oh, well, this is an interesting point. The CIA put out in the 1960s to American media outlets that those that were questioning the Kennedy assassination and other assassinations in the 60s should be called conspiracy theorists. And they are promoting conspiracies. And what's interesting is that this has now become a reflex action response from mainstream media and people, a lot of people in general. That if someone's saying they're conspiracy, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Well, what does conspiracy mean to me? Well, it means the dictionary definition, which is two or more people working together, conspiring together to bring about a particular end, usually illegal. You look at the law in country after country, and there's conspiracy to this, conspiracy to that, conspiracy to the other. But the same people that acknowledge that say, oh, no, conspiracies, they don't happen. Well, of course they happen. Conspiracies are the norm. What, two or more people getting together to manipulate an outcome and screw someone else? Of course it's happening all the time. And it's that's what it means to me. And it's amazing how this, again, the programming can create a situation in which the reflex action response to conspiracy is, conspiracy theories. Well, how about having a look if it's true or not? Oh, no, don't do that. Conspiracies don't exist. No. Okay. Ridiculous.
I was watching your documentary Renegade, the life story of yourself, and toward the end of that, you were on the pier looking out and you were seeing these children write the words freedom on the sand. And it brought up a lot of emotion for you. And I'm curious to know, what does a world look like in full freedom where all of humanity is in that state of being? What does that world feel like to you?
Well, first of all, that shot in the movie where I'm standing on the pier, as you say, and we're looking out. We were at the pier for a completely different reason, and these two kids and their mum were writing freedom in big letters in the sand, right in front of us. And from the way that day unfolded, the chances of being there, the statistical chances of being there when they did it, were absolutely ridiculous because of all the different things that happened. And we ended the day standing there, and they did it. And so that was a serious case of synchronicity, you like, create real reality in another way. Well, I have a simple philosophy, see. Do what you like, so long as you don't impose it on anyone else. And if people lived by that, it wouldn't need any laws. Because, people say, well, what about murder then? Well, that's imposing your will on someone else, isn't it? And so it's real simple. Do what you like, because you'll learn from it, good or bad. But don't impose it on anyone else. And that, for me, is freedom. I've used the example years ago, but we were having a lot of raves. Never been to a rave, but there were complaints that these raves were going on and it was affecting the residents in the area and all that stuff. And I thought, well, okay, now what we have is a world in which some have to win so others can lose, and some have to lose so others can win. Well, why can't we accommodate people in a way that doesn't affect others? So if people want to rave, well, give them a rave, just away from, give them a location, just away from people that would be affected by it, that don't want to be affected by it. Then they have their rave and people aren't affected by it. These things can happen once there is respect for another's right to make their choices and have their views and have their opinions and have their lifestyles, so long as they don't impose it on anyone else. And this, okay, you know, there are challenges in that, in various situations, but as a principle, that means people are free to express themselves as they see fit without others having that imposed upon them who don't want it. And respect, that's what's missing. You know, you have an opinion that's different to someone else, so you get abused for it, or you get ridiculed for it. But if there was respect for the rights of everyone to have their view and lifestyle, then they'd say, I don't agree with you, but I support your right to say it, even though it differs from what I believe. It's respect is what's missing. And if we had that and were willing to accommodate other views and other lifestyles in terms of them happening, then we'd live in a different world. But we don't.
It's so interesting because as we were talking about conspiracy and the word, a quote came to mind from one of my favorite books, which is The Alchemist, which says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And the last question I'll ask you, David, is really about your legacy and what you feel is still driving you on despite all the pushback that you've received. And that is that you've said that there's an energetic field around you that you never feel alone, that's always there to support. What have you felt into is that energetic field that maybe you can't see with your eyes, or perhaps you have, that is still supporting this call to the message that you're here to bring through for humanity?
Well, it's like everything. You come to conclusions about how things are, but then, as they say, there's eating the pudding. There's watching it play out and see if what you've concluded is the way things are happening. So I felt when I had my massive awakening in 1991 that there was some force that was pushing me on. But what you then have to do is see how it plays out. And when I look back over 36 years now, information, insight has been put in front of me endlessly, constantly, as I've gone deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole. And every time I think, well, maybe this is as far as I'll go in this life, it goes deeper and goes deeper and goes deeper, and it's still going deeper, deeper and deeper and deeper. I've just finished another book, or nearly finished it, which goes deeper, deeper still. And so there is, it would seem from my experience, some force that wants to get this information out. And it's working through those people who are willing to do it. Because it's no good being a cul-de-sac of knowledge. I mean, people say knowledge is power. No, it's not. The use of knowledge is power. Knowledge that you don't use, nice one I have. And so those people that are willing to circulate this information, that are willing to work to uncover it with help, it seems, they're the ones that will get the information. And also, again, I've had this insatiable desire to know, who am I? Where am I? What is this place? What's going on? How does it work? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And this interaction with the quantum realm it also puts this information in front of me. And therefore, anyone can do it. Not about the chosen. It's about those that choose to do it, to pursue these questions, and to do it not conceptually, but to do it because they mean it, and the answers come. They do. So why do I keep going? Well, because I'm not done yet, and I won't be done until I leave this reality. Because there's no point when I will step back and retire. I might do things in a different way as time moves on, but I'll never retire. I'll never stop. Not least because I have this insatiable desire to know, and also because I have children and I have grandchildren, and I see all the other children and grandchildren in the world, and I don't want them to live in the reality, the experience that this force is planning for. And so what can I do? I can put information in front of people, and then they decide what they think of it and whether to act upon it. But the thought of not doing, the thought of just stopping and walking away and saying, I've done my bit, I'm retiring now. No way. And over the years, over the decades, I've seen people come into this arena. I've seen them be flavor of the month for a while and then disappear. And if you really do have a grasp of what's planned, you don't walk away. It's impossible. I find it impossible anyway. You can't walk away. You can't walk away and get on with another life, knowing what's coming. And then every time you see the news, you think, oh God, that's another step on the road. No, you do what you can for as long as you can. And I've always been driven in that way, and I still am driven. And I tell you, when I started out in 1990, there was no alternative media. It didn't exist. Just a few disparate individuals, different parts of the world. But in those days, I couldn't fill a phone booth with interest in these subjects. Nothing. I was talking to handfuls of people. Talked in New England to 5 people in someone's front room. Talked to 8 people in near Chicago once. And this is what it was like. And, I know people think, the awakening should be faster. And I think that too, especially when we're looking down the barrel of an oncoming AI. But the number of people awakening, not awake now, compared with 1990, 91, is fantastic. And but what I feel is that they have been, not everyone, nothing like everyone, but large numbers of them have been, shall we say, have been eddied, have been collectively eddied by this takeover of the alternative media, and they've been taken from the freeway into a cul-de-sac called "Politics is the Answer," and they need to get out of that cul-de-sac fast and get back on the bloody freeway, and or back in the river, or whichever analogy you want to use, because there's one hell of a lot more to know beyond Donald Trump.
David, it's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I just wanted to acknowledge you for playing such a huge role in freeing humanity's mind and doing it with such force, like the roar of a lion, like Osho said. And yeah, you're an inspiration for the future generations, brother. I would love to continue these conversations with you, and thank you infinitely for the work that you're here and you're still doing and carrying out with all of the integrity and force that I know you're doing it with. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's people like you that come along, see it, start communicating it. That gives me enormous pleasure. Um, um, because it was a lonely place a long time ago. And people like you that see beyond the politics. That's the way that's the information, that's the awareness that we need to have circulating. So every time I talk with someone like yourself, who's come into this, but come into this from an expanded level rather than Trump or Harris, it gives me enormous pleasure. So, congratulations to you as well, mate.
This is the level. This is the level, as I said on the previous video, people. This is the level a lot of people are scared of. They start to tremble. Their heart start pounding. They just want to be a part of this group so bad. This group of, yeah, you're the right ones. You're the majority. Hence why they find it so hard, people, to let go of these fairy tales things they hold on to, people. It's fairy tale. It's all fairy tale. Government that go provide, politicians love you, elites love you, elites that try to make your life better. This imaginary figure come save you, just pray and don't do anything else. Just pray. Just pray, everything's gonna be okay. Just pray. That's the most dangerous lines uttered from the mouths of men, people. Just pray and everything will be okay. Just pray. As the story says in Africa, people, the Africans were told to close their eyes and pray. When they open those eyes, people, the white man, so to speak, had the land. And we have the Bible. We have the Bible and we open our hands. They have the land. Isn't it true up to this day? But it's so hard to reach people. Hard. Was been trained up from their Sunday school little babies, christened, then Sunday school program to believe this stuff. But a Luther continua will never stop. Always keep the fight, always keep the fire blazing. Big up David Icke. Love David Icke. We all love David Icke. This man is a weapon against the system, and we love it.